Let's talk about stress. Now, if me just saying the word stress automatically made you feel more stressed, then definitely stick around because you're going to learn how to assess your stress levels, and you're going to learn the difference between the stress that serves you and the stress that does not serve you. So, first, when it comes to stress, it's not all bad. It is not all bad. We need stress. It's how we respond. So I'm going to link how to assess stress in your physical workouts to how to assess and the importance of stress in your mental and emotional well-being as it relates to your quality of life and your personal development. All right? Now, when a person is working out, I'll often ask them, how's that feel? How does that feel? I'm not looking for good or bad or cheeky. How does it feel? I'll ask them to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being pretty easy, not a lot. 10 being, this is really hard. I don't know how many more I can do. And what I'm listening for is how close are they to the sweet spot? The sweet spot being that which they can manage the stress that's on their body without being overwhelmed by it. Meaning that they can do the repetitions well without tanking out early, without exhausting early, without compromising their form. And they're at the intensity that if they can do many more than what I ultimately want them to do, meaning that the load is too light, then I need to stress them a bit more. So it's this sweet spot of stress. The reason that's important is because the body needs stress to respond to. So when you are training the body, right, and you're looking to get stronger, or you're looking to improve your cardiovascular output, right, your stamina or your power, you need to have consistency first. Consistency is queen. I'm going to use the word queen. Consistency is queen. You have to have consistency. You have to have repetition, okay? Otherwise, your body views it as chaotic. It's like, oh, who are you? What are you doing here, right? So you want to have a little bit of stress, a little bit more stress, a little bit more stress over the course of time, and that's how you get the results. That's how you get the adaptive response. If you go in and you, which I've done it, if you go in and you go hard one day, and then you do something completely different the other day, and then you do a boot camp the next day, and then 3 weeks later you go and you run 5 miles, your body views it as chaotic. It will not respond. That's why you don't want to do something brand new all of the time, because that looks like and feels like chaos to the body, which in turn is distress, not good. You want to have enough consistency on which to build, okay? Now, that scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the easiest, no big deal, 10 being the hardest, that's a rate of perceived exertion. RPE, rate of perceived, I always have to check I before E, except if you see exertion. Rate of perceived exertion, perceived. It's how you feel. It's not black and white like this is how many reps, this is how much weight because they were able to do it. It's how you feel. So the better you get at really assessing how you feel under different stress, the more you're going to trust yourself to get up to the right kind of stress, the more you're going to be smart with yourself to not go to much higher of stress than what is good, right? And ultimately, the better results you're going to get, period. So, rate of perceived exertion, scale of 1 to 10. Ah, 10. Okay, scale of 1 to 10. So, 1 is like a walking around your house. 10 is like you are sprinting to get your grandkid before they run into the road. 1 to 10. So when you're working out, you'll ask yourself, how hard does this feel? if I had to grade it on a scale of 1 to 10, where would I be? Oftentimes for strength work, I want somebody in this range here. Why do I want them in that range there? Hang on a second. Boop. I had a call coming in. Why do I want them at that range there? Because this is the range in which I would be able to tell that they're under the kind of stress that's going to get the type of response that I want. Because I can outline, here's how many reps, here's how many sets, here's the tempo of the lift, but then we have to determine the load, the resistance. That's when we use how you feel. We use how you feel, and we use the visual of what can you actually do. If you are able to do 20 repetitions of a weight, but you say it's a 10, I assure you it's not. I assure you it's not. A 10 would be the equivalent of, I can probably only do this 1 or 2 or 3 times. A 10 would be the equivalent of, I'm going as hard as I can probably only sprint for 20 seconds. In fact, by definition, the higher intensity means that you have less oxygen to use to do that type of work, because your body has 2 energy systems. It has your aerobic, meaning it can use oxygen, and it has your anaerobic, meaning it cannot use oxygen because it's going too hard, right? Or it depletes it too quickly. So when you are training, if you're doing high intensity interval training and I say, I need you at a 9 or 10, I mean it. I need you at a 9 or 10. I need you to say, I can't go much more than 20 seconds or whatever the time is prescribed, because if you can, in fact, go more than that time, then you're simply not working hard enough to get the benefits and to get the adaptive response that we're seeking. So there's rhyme and reason to everything. When you can assess your stress level, you understand where you need to be so that you can help nudge yourself and hold yourself back, because ultimately the results that we get are the results that we get. But you can absolutely be empowered to set yourself up to succeed by learning how to assess your stress. Now, if this seems too complicated, 1 to 10, I don't even know. I don't even know, because it does take time for you to learn your body. It takes time. It takes time for you to learn what's a 5 compared to an 8. The more you do work or anything challenging, and the more you consider and think about how it feels, meaning you reflect and you process, right? And you contemplate it, the better you will get at this, I promise you. But if 1 to 10 still feels a little too much, simplify it. Simplify it. You can think easy, medium, hard, or you can think Goldilocks. So we all know the Goldilocks story, right? This little blonde girl breaks into a sweet bear family's house and gobbles up all their food and sleeps in their bed and doesn't even make it at the end, sits in their chairs and busts one of them. But ultimately, Goldilocks in that home was finding the sweet spot for her. That's what you're going to do with this Goldilocks method. You're going to find that sweet spot of how to assess your stress. So when you're doing an exercise, you're going to think, is this a little too easy? Is this a little too hard? Or is this just right? When you think of it compared to something else, it gives you a perspective, okay? If you just think like, I don't know, what is it? Right? You'll probably be lost. But once you know how to measure it up or assess it against something else, meaning easy, medium, hard, 1 to 10, mama, baby, papa bear, you have a container in which to work. So give yourself a container in which to think. Baby bear has a little pacifier and a little baby stuffed bear for himself, if you were wondering. But the Goldilocks method is you are just simplifying a rate of perceived exertion scale down to 3 options: easy, medium, hard, okay? Or too little, too much, just right. Just right. And the more you get in between too little and too much, that's its own scale, right? But we always have to start somewhere. Now, how does all of this parallel into everything else in life, We're talking about rate of perceived exertion. We're talking about the Goldilocks method. We're talking about good and bad stress as it relates to training the physical body. But how does that relate to everything else in life? Well, everything in life is connected. Everything. So if we think about our physical bodies and then give ourselves the container in which to think and work, along with our mental and emotional well-being, they're all related. They're all related. We are the container for all three, right? So we have to be aware that our physical stress loads will absolutely impact our mental and emotional well-being. Our mental and emotional stress loads will absolutely impact our physical well-being. How? Well, when you are exercising, and especially as you do moderate to higher intensity exercise, your body releases these hormones, these chemicals automatically because it's designed so brilliantly. And those hormones, those endorphins, as they're released, they make us feel good, right? They make us feel good. They also kill pain. They're natural painkillers. Now, what happens to our mind and our emotional state when we physically, right, move our bodies? We feel good. We have enhanced cognitive functioning, right? With our enhanced cognitive functioning, we can better regulate our emotions. We can insert that pause before we respond. We can keep the grand scheme of things in perspective rather than just one incident at a time. If we are under a lot of mental or emotional stress, somebody loses a job, a parent is ill, etc., and it's just a lot, right? We can't just be done with it. That's not possible, right? That's not healthy. But what will happen physically? Well, our digestive system can slow down. It interrupts our sleep. It changes the way that, our bodies move and function because everything is connected, right? But since everything is connected, what we cannot do is negate any one area. What we need to do is to better understand the stress levels that we're under. Whether it's good or bad stress. Bad meaning it's too much, right? So if you're in the gym and you're under too much stress, you get hurt, you burn out, you get an injury, right? Not good. If you're under too much stress mentally and emotionally, oftentimes you can't help that. Oftentimes it's circumstances outside of our control, like losing a job, a parent falls ill, etc. But sometimes they are in our control. Many times they're in our control. We're just not aware of it. What do I mean by that? Well, if somebody is under great distress mentally and emotionally because of life and family circumstances, and at the exact same time they say, I want to lose 50 pounds. So I'm going to diet and exercise to lose 50 pounds. They're just adding to it. Instead, what I'd rather they do is say, I'm under all of this stress. I can't just dip out of this. I got to get through it, right? The way that you build resilience by getting through it is by making sure that you're strong enough to keep going through, right? So on the physical end of it, the workouts would change, right? Rather than going for a goal of losing 50 pounds, that's where I encourage people to pivot and think of keep your physical body healthy. Keep your physical body healthy so that it can support your mental and emotional well-being as you go through this. That might look like just doing what I call your plumb line practices. What kind of physical work do you need to do? How often? And what type? Right? What type? How often? Right? That's going to just keep you on point. Right? Maybe you're not going to see any major definition increase or any major, body composition change, but you're going to keep doing the things that you need to keep doing so that your body can keep doing what it needs to do. And then when the mental and emotional things subside, and that is more manageable, you can then filter your energy into more of those physical goals. But one thing is for sure, there will always be stress. We want to make sure that we're not inviting more stress than what is manageable. So if you are in the gym and you're always going hard, because that's what you like, know that you may be working at an intensity and at a stress level that is actually detrimental to your body. If you are under a lot of mental and emotional stress, and then you try to add more onto it by chasing a goal or something like that, just know that you're adding more to it. The all or none mentality. The all or none mentality is one that will get you in trouble. Regardless of if you can assess your stress accurately or not, it will get you in trouble, okay? Because either end of the extremes is dangerous territory, right? If you are all gas or all brake, dangerous territory, right? That's why oftentimes where I need a person is kind of in the middle. And if we think of that on a personal fulfillment level too, because again, it all relates. If somebody doesn't have any challenge in their life at all, my experience is that they will lose their mental and emotional well-being and their physical pretty quickly. Pretty quickly. If somebody doesn't have a challenge at all to rise to, they just do the same thing every day over and over again, no big deal. They're just here, like this is just what we do. We pay the bills, we come home. I'm not knocking you and I'm not criticizing this. But what I am going to ask you to do is on the opposite way of how you would assess your stress, I'm asking you to assess your quality. Use the same scale to assess your quality. The point of the scale is so that you're not doing something so hard that you can't do long. And you're not wasting time going at an intensity that's not really getting you any results, because then you won't want to go. You want to find a sweet spot so you do the right amount at the right time for the right reason. Framing this all around intention, requirements, manageability. Intentions, requirements, manageability. All around physical wellness, physical well-being, mental and emotional well-being, and how that relates to everything that we do in life, not just in the gym, not just at work or with our families, but in the dreams that we have for ourselves, in the passions that we have burning inside of us, getting to use them, because if we don't use them, they will eat us up inside. So the better you get at assessing your stress and where you're at, the better you're going to be able to navigate as you go. I hope this was helpful. Please let me know if it was. And up next, we're going to talk about alignment. How to make sure that the stress that you do experience is helping you by keeping you in alignment with what is best for you.